Mhm. Shalom and blessings tonight. Shalom and blessings tonight. I am back here on YouTube and Zoom. It is a blessing to be back. I've been incapacitated for quite some time, so it feels good to be back. Be back on air for just a little while. We're only going to talk about some topics tonight that I believe that need to be talked about. Number one, religion is a major topic that needs to be talked about no matter what, regardless of what anybody thinks or says. But that's one of the topics that has come up real heavy in my sabbatical. For those of you, I don't really discuss too much of my personal business, but I want to thank a lot of people for their prayers that knew why I was out for the past few days. And it's a blessing to be back on air, especially to my YouTube crowd, to all my people out there on YouTube. It is a more than a blessing to see you guys. Telling you, you don't miss a good thing till it's gone, until you have to deal with circumstances and situations, and then you feel pretty good about things. We're going to be using scripture tonight, but want to say that been watching the news all day. The Bible tells us to watch as well as pray, to be alert about certain things. And the FDA voted on the Pfizer coronavirus vaccine. Still, quite a few processes that have to take place in that circumstance and situation before the vaccines itself can be distributed in the United States. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be distributed right off the bat. And this is what I don't like about a lot of folks, because a lot of people like to make suggestions about what they think is going to happen and so on like that. And ever since the coronavirus has come into play, or COVID-19, which is the medical term for it, ever since COVID-19 has come into play, we've had quite a few people in the church that have just mistakenly and just point blank given false prophecy. Just literally put stuff out there that is just so not true. And I'm just going to say it very strongly, because we got a lot of people out here that are fantasizing, um, making up things in the spirit. We could sit here and talk about the false prophets all day long, but it would be such a waste of my time, such a waste of my broadcast, and totally a waste of my teaching, to continue to keep talking about these people, because these people really, they know who they are and they know what they're teaching. They know exactly what they're putting out there, and what they're putting out there is a false picture of a non-reality. So we are, you know, we're supposed to be following eschatology right now. We're in the end time. For those of you that don't know what eschatology is, that means that it is the teaching or the fulfillment of prophecies, the teaching of the things to come into the earth realm of prophecy and the fulfillment of that. That's what we're supposed to be teaching now. And I'm going to make some profound statements tonight that are going to really maybe shock a lot of people. It shouldn't shock anybody, because they should know where I stand and what I'm all about when it comes down to biblical history and the truth of the Bible. There should be a lot of people that really understand and know where I stand. But not only am I going to talk about it, but I'm going to show you. So let's start by going to the book of First Timothy. the book of First Timothy. We can go to the fourth chapter of the book of First Timothy. A lot of things going on out here, and we need to have a somewhat deep discussion about some of those things. I want to say hello to all my people that are watching me in Africa, in Kenya. I'm scheduled to be in Kalami, in Kalamatown, Africa. I'm scheduled to be there on March the 4th through the 14th. That's right, people. Get ready because the Archbishop, Chief Apostle, is coming to Kenya. I'm coming to Kenya via the ministry that I have there in Kenya, which is pastored by Bishop Charles Baria or Barsoa, excuse me, Charles Barsoa. I'm going to be in Africa. I'm coming to Kenya on March the 4th through the 14th. I will be in the continent of Africa in the country of Kenya. I will be there. So get ready. And then right after that, when I leave from Kenya in March, I'm scheduled to be in London, England. We'll be giving more details about that. That doesn't mean that we're going to stop doing our YouTube channel and all the different teachings. We're going to continue that. Sometimes you have to take a break for a little while to get some things together, to get some things verified. And anybody that knows me, my staff, my one staff member, who is our administrative pastor for Kingdom Building Institute and Ministries and Kepha Ben Israel Ministries, that is none other than Elder Kim Kerr. She always knows that I'm consistently making some things happen, and we are tremendously working hard to make that. So let me make that announcement for those of you and for all the devils out there that thought that they had a hand up somewhere. You seem to forget that I am an archbishop in our Lord's church, and that means that I am working hard to build the body of Messiah, the kingdom of Yah, in the entire earth realm. So I am going to be in Kenya, in Kalamatown. I will be there in March, to be exact, March 4th through the 14th. We're going to be doing advertisement on Twitter, and we'll be doing some advertisement on Instagram about this up and coming trip where I will be coming to consecrate several ministries and ordaining several different elders and bishops in this area. The lead bishop for that area that is under our fellowship, which is Spirit of Excellence and Honor Fellowship, is Bishop Charles Barossa in Kalamatown. I might not be pronouncing it right, and he'll probably correct me after they watch this video tonight. But we're going to be in Kenya. That is the eastern part of Kenya. That's where we're going to be in the month of March, for the first part of the month of March. I'm excited about this tremendous arising and this awakening. This is going to be an awesome thing. And then we're going to be in London, England shortly after that. Well, let me just say we're going to be in the UK, because we don't know exactly what all we're going to be doing. We know that London is one of the spots where we're going to be at, but we're going to be in the UK. We're not going to say what month we're going to be in the UK because it's not all the way verified yet, but the trip to Africa is verified, that we will be in Africa on March 4th through the 14th. So be watching this YouTube channel. We're going to be doing a lot of videos via the continent of Africa in the country of Kenya. We're going to be there. Hopefully, we get a chance to run into a lot of different people that I've worked with through the years in that particular continent and country. So we're looking forward to that here real soon. Um, let's go to First Timothy, the fourth chapter. Some of you may love me after this, what I'm going to say tonight, but then some of you may not. I've gotten accustomed to not being liked. And to be honest with you, that is the way true teachers are. In this particular master class, as I like to call it, there's a lot of things that I may say that people don't agree with. Like, first of all, we're using a Bible called the Sefer or Sefer, which is the proper terminology for it, Sefer. But some people like to call it the Sefer. And it's one of the better transliterated Bibles that I've ever used. I only use two to teach out of. The Sefer is one, and the other one is called the Scriptures, which is noted by the ISR, which is the Institute for Scripture Research. And those are the only two transliterated Bibles that I've ran into over the years that actually fit for just about any and everything that we teach about and we talk about. All right, let's go to First Timothy in the Sefer or Sefer. We call it Timotheus Rajan. Timotheus Rajan. First Timothy, the fourth chapter, starting at the very first verse of that chapter. And it reads, it says, now the Ruach, which is spirit, speaks expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the belief, giving heed to seducing ruacheth, which is spirits, and doctrines of devils. Verse number 2, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron. Verse number 3, forbidding to marry. And let's stop right there, verse number 2, and we'll get into verse number 3 here in just a minute. The two number one religions on the planet. The two number one religions on the planet, because of popularity and because of the followings, are none other than the Muslim, and you have many different types of Muslims, and then you have what we call Christianity, and we have many, many different types of Christianity. As a matter of fact, you have Jehovah's Witnesses that lay claim to Christianity. Heck, the Ku Klux Klan lay claims to Christianity. Some of your more popular white nationalist groups have claimed Christianity. Then you have some other groups that claim Christianity that are in a whole nother diadem, such as the Church of the Latter-day Saints, which is known as the Mormons. They claim Christianity. You have the Muslim faith, or Islam, if you will, and you have the Sunni, the Shiite, the Muslim that practices here in Chicago, in the United States, which is led by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, which is known as the Fruit of Islam, the Nation of Islam, the Fruit of Islam, which was started by El Farad Muhammad. We can get into a history lesson about a lot of who a lot of these people really are, and some of the practices that some of these people carry over as dominant practices in the faith. And now you have the Messianic believing people And when I say Messianic believing people, these people 9 times out of 10 go to what we call synagogues, and their leaders or teachers are known as rabbis. Then you have the Hebrew Israelite, which is not a new occurrence, but in the past, I want to say maybe 30 to 40 years, the Hebrew Israelites have grown into prominence as far as becoming a religion, a recognized religion that a lot of people um, are now talking about across the different land. Now, it doesn't make it right or wrong. I don't ascribe to any religion. I don't ascribe to any group, any faction, if you will. I do not call myself a Christian. I do recognize my culture as being traced back to the Hebrew Israelite, to the tribe of Benjamin, to as we say in the Hebrew, the tribe of Benjamin. But I do not ascribe as a religious follower of the Hebrew Israelites, nor do I ascribe as a religious follower of the Messianic movement. And then, of course, I forgot about one more, which is the Orthodox movement, which that is mostly uh, the Jewish people that worship Torah only. They do not believe in the New Testament, or as we say, the Brit Hadashah. Don't claim any of that, nor do I claim uh, association with any of those people. That's one thing about being a real bishop or a real apostle, if you will, because I serve in the kingdom of Yah. I serve in the kingdom of Yah with my administration, which is that of the archbishop, and then my gifting, of course, is that of the apostle. And it just so happens that the Most High has blessed me to produce other apostles, and they recognize me and reverence me in the position of chief apostle only because I am their senior apostle that has trained them and placed them out there. Now I went all the way around that to talk to you about these first two verses in First Timothy, the fourth chapter. And those first two verses, which are very important because it says, now the Ruach, or the Spirit, speaks expressly that in the latter times, some shall depart from the belief, giving heed to seducing ruhachath, which is spirits, and doctrines of devils. Doctrines of devils. We could go in the history books and really narrow this down as to what Paul was talking about here in this particular chapter and verse. And I'm going to say something that's going to be very unpopular with a lot of you, but I'm proving it by reading this verse. One of the most brutal religious groups out here now, judgmental or point blank, just out and out there groups, is Christianity. Christianity has changed its form in so many different ways and so many different fronts, and they've went as far as to tell people that if you don't claim Christianity, if you don't claim or ascribe to the religion of Christianity, then you are not going to heaven. And might I remind you that it is through the Bible or through the inscription of the Bible that Satan, Hasatan, has maligned himself as a God just through the Bible and through the belief of those that are not on one accord. And I taught this a long time ago, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about it tonight. But when people are not on one accord, that tends to bring a fusion, if you will, and it brings about a false sense of religiosity, if you will. And this is what we're dealing with today. This chapter and verse lets us know that there are going to be a lot of people that will go away from the fundamentals of the faith. Now, that brings us into another question. What is the fundamentals of the faith? What are we supposed to be believing? Well, first of all, the expression Torah, some people like to say the Pentateuch, but it's actually the Torah or Torah, is the fundamentals of the faith of our belief. If you say that you worship the Elohim, the God that is the God of the Israelites, then you ascribe to Torah. And all Torah is in the format of the 66 book Bible, that they are the first 5 books of it. And it's better described as the books of Moses or the books of Moshe. So that means you actually have to read it and study it to understand the validity of it in order to get what it's saying. But there is no one walking this earth today that can ascribe to a Hebrew Elohim and not understand the Torah. Nobody. If there is, I don't know what they're teaching because it's false. So that brings us into the point where I want to get to tonight is that people have went away from the doctrine of truth and started putting labels on the doctrine of truth, and they call it all kind of things. They say word faith, they say prosperity. They've even went as far as to go and say divine healing teaching. Either way it go, if it's not truth, I don't know what it is. And no one that believes in truth should be quick to put a name to themselves. And when I say name, I'm talking about the groups, Methodist, Lutheran, Catholic, et cetera, et cetera. You should not be putting names to it because you don't really understand what those words mean. And for whatever reason, you've been told that this is what we're supposed to believe. But the truth of the matter is that the only thing that we were told in the New Testament in the Brit Hadashah is that the faith of Messiah is called the way. And those that follow the way were called believers. Didn't call them Hebrew Israelites. He didn't call them Christians. He didn't even go as far as to calling them, perfected saints. The word saints was a redefined word that was placed in the King James Version Bible. As a matter of fact, the King James Bible of 1611, that's where the word saints became popular. It was an inserted word because that word saints was supposed to be a revisited version of the word believers. But either way it go, we find the redefinition and reappropriation that is brought back to our attention here in 1 Timothy, the 4th chapter, in the very first verse. that people shall depart from the faith. And we keep saying to ourselves, what faith? What departure are we looking at? What is the Bible talking about when it says departing from the faith? What faith? Well, that faith can also be treated as an anonym for the word truth. And now we're saying to ourselves, what truth? Because there's a lot of people that claim to know the truth. As a matter of fact, the Jehovah's Witnesses have a slogan that they often use quite a bit, and they say what they practice is truth, only because their version of Bible, which is called the New World Translation, was translated by a group in New York, which is the Watchtower Society, and they came up with their own definition with the false name Jehovah. When the Masoretes wanted to keep the name of the Most High out of the lips of other men, what they did was they took the Tetragrammaton, which are the four letters of the name of Yahuwah. And if you use the terminology Yahuwah, then you would use the letters Y, capital YHUH. Now, internationally, people use the letters capital YHWH. And then some people use the letters YHVH. Now, when you use the letters YHVH, of course, you come with the name Yehovah, which has been translated into the name Jehovah because of the creation or the procreation of the English alphabet. Okay. So they took the name Yehovah and they translated it into the name Jehovah. Okay. But when you use the tetragrammaton and the letters of capital YHUH, you get the name Yahuwah, Yahuwah, which is a better translation from the original language or the original transcripts of Paleo and hieroglyphics. The language of hieroglyphics was the stick form or the draw figures that were used that correlated itself into what we call Paleo. Now, Paleo is not spoken anymore. And the reason why it's not spoken anymore is because it got mixed and permeated into the Greek and the Grecian languages and cultures and so on like that. So now we've come up with a different form of speaking in the Middle East, which is called Yiddish. And from the Yiddish language, now we get a lot of the definitions that we're getting now, which are, needless to say, very wrong definitions. So the name Christian never appeared in the original transcripts because it didn't exist. The name Christos came from the Greek translation of the word Mashiach or Messiah. That was their translation of it. So they automatically, when Paul and Barnabas were in Antioch, and they were talking about the imitation of their belief in the Greek translated Bibles, the name of Messiah had already been translated into Christos or Christ. So they came up with the name Christian, which later on was condensed into the word or the phrase Christian. So as you can see, the name Christian even came from a far more drearier past than the belief of Christianity. So this is where it all started. It started in the translated forms from the Greek speaking believers that formed everything and formulated everything into their um, version of what they were talking about. Now, in the Greek, what they did was they took the letters of the New Testament or the Brit Hadashah and compiled them in a Bible of sense, and they called it the the Septuagint, which is the Greek version of the New Testament. So, as you can see, as time is going forward, we're seeing many different perspectives and many different opinions had arisen for the one word, which to this date, the original Old Testament or Hebrew Bible, if you will, was discovered in a maze called the Dead Sea Scrolls. And from the Dead Sea Scrolls, you saw many other writings with it. I don't want to go into a lot of that different stuff because it would take me forever to actually go into all of that stuff. But the different writings that were there. And so now we see that the word Christian was a depiction from the interpretation or from the translation of the Greek Septuagint. So the question is, what faith have they departed from here in this first verse? Is it safe to say that, such as Galatians, the third chapter, they have presented a whole nother Yahusha, Messiah, than the one that was taught to them? And could it be that they tagged it and placed the word Christian on it to have a formulation of a religion that eventually would take us through the a couple of thousand, couple of hundred years of false teaching and false misrepresentation, thus spawning off many other groups, many other beliefs that were of other nationalities and of other cultures that was closely associated to what we would call truth from the original scriptures. Yeah, y'all don't like me tonight. So before we get to speaking in tongues and hollering and screaming about a lot of the lethargy that has went forth in the earth realm as what we call truth, I would advise you to get a history book and look up the different cultures to find out what their beliefs were. You're going to find out that a lot of their beliefs were similar to each other, even though there was only one truth. Now, in order to believe in the one truth of the Hebrew God, the Hebrew Elohim, that means that you had to ascribe to the Ruach, which is the spirit. The spirit had to reveal truth to you. Just as Shimeon Kepha, Peter, who was sitting with Messiah, when he asked the question of his Talmidim, the disciples, he said, "Who do men say that I am?" It was Shimeon Kepha, Peter, that stood up and said that you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And he said to him, "Flesh and blood has not revealed this to you." Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying. So in order to know the layout of truth, it's okay to compile the historical facts. And it is definitely okay in my book to have the perspective of historical facts. But the truth is that the perspective of historical facts cannot and will not give you revelation through the spirit, through the Ruach, for the truth that you should be walking into. A lot of people have departed from the faith because of their lack of obedience and ability to submit themselves to the spirit of Yahuwah. And because they have not submitted themselves, now we have a combination, if you will, of different sectors of religiosity that claims to have a Messiah such as the one of the truth. And so what they have done is that they have been speaking lies with hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with a hot iron, and bringing about the demise of truth. And we have seen this happen lately with all of the circumstances that we have going on in the world. I don't even have to start naming them. There's different circumstances that people have different perspectives of, but there's only one truth and one revelation of it. But because of the ignorance of man and the ignorance of our own a lack of obedience, we come up with our own understanding into a truth that does not exist. Thus, we have placed a name upon it, and we put a group in it, and we've allowed the groups to permeate and to rise from the mud, if you will, and make up circumstances when it comes to the truth of his standards. Oh, y'all don't like me tonight. The standards, those standards that he has set forth, he set Adam and Eve, Adam and Ahava. And he placed Adam because of the sin of Eve, of Ahava, that listened to the serpent and said that, woman, you shall have your husband to rule over you. We've went back on the standards of that and the principles of that, and now we've created our own belief. This is what Christianity has done to the truth of what is written, what has already been foreseen, and what has already been permeated as far as truth. We have placed our children above that of the order of parents in the household. Ephesians, the 6th chapter, plainly gives us the order of the house, but yet we have went and we have twisted, if you will. It all goes back to 1 Timothy, the 4th chapter, where it says that we have heaped upon ourselves the doctrines of devils, the doctrines of demons that have knocked off the balance of the kingdom. Okay? But there is no one with revelation to understand that you've been fooled and that you've been hoodwinked, you've been sidewinded, and you've been cut up in a very obscure way to keep you from truth. The Bible tells us plain as day that we are to study to show ourselves approved. A workman is worthy of the wages. It has been said on several different occasions by a lot of people that are uneducated through the Spirit that the office of the bishop and the overseer is not a spiritual office. But yet we find in Acts, the 20th chapter and the 28th verse, that the Apostle Paul compels the overseers slash bishops slash elders to shepherd or pastor the flock in which the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh, has made you overseers. We have got to stop listening to what other people are telling us and get a revelation for ourselves. We've got to stop believing that which is coming over the pulpit and go and study the word that is given to us. We've got to stop listening to our best friend that may sound spiritual but has no clue as to any truth. We are heaping up doctrines of devils. Somebody don't like me right now, but I'm here to tell you, you've placed yourself in a group. You've called yourself a Hebrew Israelite. You've called yourself a Christian. You've called yourself a Messianic. But you've failed to understand the one thing in all these key elements that I've called out, which is truth. Do you have truth? I don't care what you call yourself. I don't care what you think you want to call yourself. But do you have truth? The revelation of truth will bring about persecution. The revelation of truth will bring about a reality. The revelation of truth will bring us to a whole different understanding. You could be sitting there listening to someone give you a synopsis of something, but you, in your spirit man, know that what you are listening to is not a truth. Oh, somebody don't like me tonight. Y'all know I can't go but so long because this is only a 45 minutes an hour production. But I'm just starting out. We're just starting because tomorrow night, as we get into the Sabbath, because I'm back, I'm going to be speaking on a little bit more of this thing that we call religion and why religion has caused us to sin and error, and why it has caused us to jump into groups and factions that were not produced of the Most High. Somebody don't like me now for real. We have grouped ourselves with people that were never meant to be in the forefront in the first place. They, according to what this verse and chapter says in First Timothy, the fourth chapter, they have been teaching you doctrines or teachings of devils, permeating the upside and the upswing of demonic attention, of demonic attention. And I want to show you how this demonic attention has turned itself into popularity and mainstream Christianity that has caused us to err so bad that this is the reason why we are seeing what we're seeing. The Bible tells us that he told Abram before he became Abraham, he told Abram, he said, come out from among, he said, come out from among your kindred. It is the people that you meet every single day that are uneducated and that are not revelatory to truth that have caused you to error and have caused you to walk into traps of circumstances and situations. This is where we get the salutation and permeation of what we call witchcraft and things that are against the power of the Most High. It is through his power, which is truth. I want you to understand tonight that the word power and truth are synonymous of each other, because without power, there is no truth. And I want to speak very much truth to power tonight to let you know and to make you understand that we are walking in a time of serious error. There are a lot of people that claim to be believers, but they cannot be believers of the Hebrew Elohim because they have no power, because they will do whatever it takes to suit those that are out of order, to make them feel good in their own skin, to bring about a non-sense of power. Oh, y'all don't hear what I'm saying. And then we start praying in witchcraft. I'm not going to talk about it tonight, but we're going to pick this up tomorrow night. This has been a very good rest for me the past few days, because it has brought the power of the Spirit to me. We're in First Timothy, the fourth chapter, verses 1 and 2. We're going to continue with these chapters in our study for the next couple of days on Sabbath Eve, which is tomorrow, and then on Sabbath afternoon, which is on Saturday. We're bringing this truth. I want to thank all of you for being here tonight. Remember, by way of announcement, it is confirmed that I will be in Kenya in the month of March 2021. The month of March 2021, March 4th through the 14th. We are going to carry out our apostolic duty in Kenya. We're going to be coming to the continent of Africa in the land of Kenya. We're going to be coming there. I'm really excited about this trip. And then we're going to be coming to London, England on the next trip that will be possibly the next month. But remember, you can donate to this ministry. The gospel is free of charge. I would never charge anyone for the gospel, but the work of the ministry is not free of charge. So for that reason, we ask you to prayerfully consider donating to the work of ministry by going to the Cash App and hitting the $sign, typing in Chief Apostle Kepha. Kepha is spelled Kepha. Or you can go to PayPal. That's right. You can go to paypal.me/capital K, capital ISREAL. Please prayerfully consider sowing into the work of this ministry as we go forward to educate you, implode you, and empower you in the works that you are meant to be. We believe in signs, wonders, and miracles. We do not claim to be of any group, but what we do claim to be are believers in the way. And you might ask, what way is that? The way of the truth. We believe in the entire Bible. That means that we believe in the parts of the Bible that most people don't even know exist. So we believe in the whole Bible and the adoration and function of the entire Bible. I am Dr. Kepha Ben Israel. I am Archbishop in our Lord's church, and I am Chief Apostle as far as my gift to the body of Messiah. We're going to be back again tomorrow night. For those of you that are on YouTube, we're glad that you joined us. We're so excited that you have joined us back on this glorious time. And I want to thank all the people that sent prayers my way. I'm doing just fine. I'm feeling good about what's really going on. Listen, this is a production of Kingdom Building Institute and Ministries, along with Kepha Ben Israel Ministries. We are signing off, and we will see you again tomorrow. Shalom, everyone.